Have you ever wondered why so many parents today are starting to question the education system? How did we get here? Are you one of those parents? What if I told you that the answer could change everything you thought you knew about school? To understand why parents are raising their voices, we need to look back. And let me tell you, hold on to your seat because it's going to be a wild ride. Imagine this: decisions on what your child learns, the values they're exposed to, even the health decisions made for them, all being decided by someone else. But who's really calling the shots? Is it a government official? A teacher? Or should it be you, the parent? Across the nation, families are waking up to a powerful question that goes to the heart of our children's lives. Who has the right to shape what our children think, what they believe, and even how they live? Are schools going too far? Or are parents asking for too much control? It's a question sparking intense debate, and it's making headlines every day. Education reform and parental rights are no longer abstract debates. They're shaping classrooms, influencing policies, and impacting the very foundation of our future. At stake isn't just the curriculum, it's the very influence that will shape the hearts, minds, and values of the next generation. So, who should have the final say? Today, we're peeling back the layers of this debate, untangling issues of curriculum control, health mandates, and legal battles, and exploring what it all means for parents, teachers, and students alike. But remember, this is your voice too. Who do you think should have the final say? Let us know in the comments section. Do you really want to know how we went from leading some of the top schools in the world to struggling at the bottom rung? You're not going to like it, but let's take a look. Believe it or not, there was actually a time when education felt close to home, when local voices shaped the classrooms and communities they loved. You remember, don't you? Schools were the heart of the community. Parents could weigh in, and education reflected the values and needs of the people it served. But as the years passed, something changed. The rise of standardized testing in the 1980s and 90s introduced a new era in education, one driven by data and numbers. At first, this push for standards seemed like a well-intentioned idea, holding schools accountable for outcomes, making sure every student met certain benchmarks. But soon the goal of learning was replaced by the chase for numbers. Standards and accountability were introduced to ensure fairness, but did they achieve that goal? But as schools shifted their focus to test-focused teaching, it was testing companies and consultants that truly thrived. Education quietly transformed into a multi-billion-dollar marketplace, something that was never supposed to be part of the picture. Or so parents thought. But wait, wasn't this supposed to be about the children? How did classrooms become money-making testing centers, where drills and countdowns ruled the day, leaving little room for curiosity or creativity? It's unsettling to think, was this shift in education part of a bigger plan? As standardized testing tightened its grip on education, a new approach crept into classrooms across the nation: test-focused teaching. But what does that actually mean? Teaching to the test narrows the focus, reducing learning to only what's needed for standardized exams. Classrooms become centers of drilling tested skills, practicing test-taking strategies, and memorizing answers that often vanish after the test is over. What about creativity, critical thinking, subjects that don't directly impact test scores? These essentials are often pushed aside, sacrificed for a system where numbers matter more than understanding. Initially, it may have seemed like a way to keep learning consistent, but over time, it became clear this approach wasn't about deeper learning. It was about numbers, rankings, and, whether intentional or not, a multi-billion-dollar industry profiting from our children's education. And that raises an unsettling question. If education is now about hitting benchmarks, meeting quotas, and selling test prep materials, what happened to preparing students for life beyond the classroom? Yes, test scores might go up, but at what cost? The real price we're paying is often a loss of critical thinking, creativity, and genuine understanding. Students are learning to pass tests, but are they learning to solve problems, to think for themselves, to innovate? Standardized tests were supposed to hold schools accountable, but instead they're holding our children back. They're taking away something essential, something no score can measure, the skills that prepare them for life. Is this really what we want for our children? A system where learning is reduced to drills, where curiosity gives way to practice sheets, and where creativity is quietly pushed to the margins? We may have started with good intentions, but over time, test-focused teaching has come to define too much of American education. It's narrowed the experience of learning itself, turning classrooms into places of routine rather than discovery. But today, a shift is happening. Nationwide, parents are reclaiming their voices and saying enough. They're raising their hands, attending meetings, and demanding answers. Why now? And what does this movement mean for the future of our children's education? Are we witnessing the beginning of true reform, or are we just scratching the surface of what's possible? As we dig deeper, let's explore what's at stake and why this growing wave of parental involvement could redefine the future of education. In states like Florida, Texas, and Virginia, new parents' bills of rights are granting parents greater access to curriculum details and more say over which lessons their children engage with. Supporters say these laws give families more control over education. But critics worry these changes could limit inclusivity, restrict access to diverse perspectives, and leave students with a narrower view of the world. And it's not just the classroom that's been commercialized. School cafeterias have also become profit centers for corporations. From highly processed chicken nuggets to sugary drinks and snacks, school meal programs have been hijacked by companies prioritizing profit over children's health. The National School Lunch Program serves over 30 million children daily, but many of these meals are loaded with preservatives, harmful seed oils, and excess sugar. Companies like Tyson Foods, Sodexo, and Aramark generate billions in revenue annually by supplying processed foods that meet minimum nutritional standards, but often leave children malnourished and addicted to unhealthy eating habits. Please believe me, you'll be sickened, saddened, and outraged in that upcoming video. Testing companies generate billions each year. Pearson, one of the largest educational publishers, generates over $4 billion a year in revenue, with a significant chunk coming from standardized tests. McGraw-Hill and other giants aren't far behind. The debate grows more complex with powerful funding sources at play. Supporters see it as a way to put power back into parents' hands, while critics caution that these funds often come with specific agendas, ones that could shape what and how students learn. But there's another side to this story, one that's often hidden behind closed doors. Behind the push for educational reform lies a tangled web of political influence. Politicians and lobbyists don't just shape education policy, they profit from it. Campaign contributions, lucrative consulting fees, and deep ties to education tech companies create a system where financial gain often takes priority over student success. And while parents fight for better education, those in power quietly cash in. The debate grows more complex with powerful funding sources at play. Supporters see it as a way to put power back into parents' hands, while critics caution that these funds often come with specific agendas, ones that could shape what and how students learn. With powerful interests shaping the direction of education, are these changes truly in the best interest of our children? Or is it the priorities of private foundations that are influencing the classroom, where our kids are left learning from agendas set not by educators, but by the highest bidder? With so much money at stake, are these changes really about providing children with the education they need? Or are we seeing the rise of a system where students' learning is shaped less by quality and more by those with the deepest pockets. Supporters of these initiatives argue that parental rights empower families and return control to local communities. Yet, critics caution that these funds come with an agenda, one that may prioritize specific beliefs over access to broad and diverse education. On the other side of the debate, major education and civil rights organizations push back against these parental rights bills. Groups like the National Education Association, the American Federation of Teachers, and the American Civil Liberties Union argue that such legislation could risk inclusivity and restrict teachers' ability to offer a well-rounded education. They advocate for an equitable, unrestricted approach to learning, free from external agendas. With powerful interests shaping the direction of education, we have to ask, are these changes truly in the best interest of our children? Or are private foundations, the highest bidders, deciding what our kids learn? The big question is, why? What is the real reason this dumbing down of America is happening? Influential organizations like the Ford Foundation, George Soros's Open Society Foundations, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have poured billions into shaping the future of education. They claim to promote equity and inclusivity by advocating for diverse perspectives and centralized standards. But when so much money flows into education from these powerful entities, whose interests are truly being served? Are the needs of students and families prioritized? Or are these foundations steering the curriculum toward their own ideological goals? When powerful foundations steer what's taught in classrooms, can we trust these decisions to reflect the needs of every student? Or do they reflect the values of those footing the bill? Supporters insist these initiatives empower families, returning control to local communities. But critics caution that such funding often comes with specific agendas that may narrow students' access to a broad, diverse education. At the heart of this debate is a question of balance. Educators argue for academic freedom, saying schools must be places where students learn to think critically, encounter diverse perspectives, and make informed decisions. While both sides seek the best for students, their visions for education are often in conflict. Should schools prioritize inclusivity and academic freedom or align more closely with family values? And where does the role of the parent end and the role of the educator begin? As the debate intensifies, it's clear, this is more than a discussion about parental rights. It's a tug-of-war over who ultimately controls the future of our children's education and what beliefs will shape their minds. But parents pushing for more control feel an equally profound responsibility. For them, it's not just a right, but a duty to shape what their children are exposed to, particularly when it comes to sensitive or controversial subjects. So, where do we find common ground? Can schools be places of discovery and openness, while also honoring the values parents hold dear? This is more than just a debate. It's a search for a shared path forward, one that keeps the child's best interests at the center of it all. While both sides claim to seek what's best for students, their visions for education are often deeply divided. Should schools focus on inclusivity and academic freedom, or should they align more closely with family values? And where does the role of the parent end and the role of the educator begin? At the heart of the parental rights debate are the topics taught in schools. From history and race to gender and health, certain subjects have become flashpoints for controversy and concern. One of the most debated topics is critical race theory, or CRT. While CRT is primarily an academic framework for higher education, aspects of its teachings, like examining systemic racism and inequality, have started appearing in kindergarten through 12th grade classrooms. Supporters believe that teaching about race and history openly and honestly helps students better understand the world they're growing up in. They see these lessons as essential for fostering empathy and awareness. But critics worry that these teachings may promote a one-sided view of history that could clash with family beliefs or values. So, here's the question. Should schools teach concepts like critical race theory, or should that be left to families and later stages of education? What do you think? Does teaching these topics foster understanding or risk promoting certain beliefs over others? Gender identity and LGBTQ+ topics in school curricula are among the most debated aspects of modern education. But what role should topics like gender and sexuality play in the classroom? Are these life skills essential for creating respectful environments? Or do they cross into areas best left to families? Supporters believe these lessons foster acceptance, reduce bullying, and represent the diversity of families and identities in today's world, promoting a safe and inclusive environment for all students. They see this as a step toward greater empathy and understanding. But some parents argue that these topics introduce opinions rather than universally accepted facts, and question if schools should be guiding students on such personal issues. In their view, topics like gender identity and sexuality should be reserved for family discussions, not classrooms. At the core of these concerns is a growing demand for transparency. Across the country, parents are asking to see what's being taught in classrooms, hoping that curriculum clarity will build trust and collaboration between families and schools. Advocates of transparency in lesson plans believe that open access to lesson plans invites meaningful discussions and fosters shared values. Instead of creating conflict, transparency could be the bridge to mutual respect and understanding. Supporters of transparency in lesson plans say that when parents can review lesson plans, it opens the door for meaningful discussions and shared values between families and schools. Rather than creating conflict, transparency could be a way to foster mutual respect and understanding. For parents, this isn't about controlling every detail. It's about feeling that their voices matter. When families and educators work together openly, it may lead to a stronger, more unified approach to educating the next generation. For many parents, it's not about having a say in every classroom decision. It's about knowing that their voices matter, that their values are respected. When families and educators truly collaborate, it strengthens the educational experience, creating a more unified approach to shaping the next generation. For some families, homeschooling offers an alternative that speaks to their values and provides the freedom to shape a curriculum that aligns with what they believe is best. It's an opportunity to be directly involved in every step of their child's education, prioritizing lessons that reflect their values and the skills they believe are essential for life. Homeschooling doesn't have to be a solo journey. Across the country, families are coming together to form co-ops, pooling resources, and providing shared learning experiences that balance both structure and flexibility. These communities support one another, combining strengths and fostering an environment where children not only learn, but thrive in a space that reflects the values of each family involved. Imagine a world where students aren't just meeting minimum expectations, but are challenged to rise above them. Instead of lowering standards to avoid controversy, what if our goal was to create an environment where every student can engage with complex topics, think critically, and embrace learning? Raising educational standards doesn't mean exposing students to controversy for the sake of it. It means equipping them with the skills to understand, analyze, and navigate a diverse, interconnected world. By challenging students to think critically, we prepare them to tackle real-world issues and become thoughtful, engaged citizens. Imagine what we could achieve if raising standards wasn't seen as just a goal, but as a shared responsibility. What if, instead of working in silos, parents, teachers, and school leaders came together to create an education that addresses differences respectfully while fostering a genuine love for learning? This is about more than just avoiding conflict. It's about building resilience, respect, and lifelong curiosity in our students. When we raise the bar together, we shape a future where students don't just survive, they truly thrive. So let's ask ourselves, what can we do today to help create that future? Raising standards is a shared responsibility. By working together, parents, teachers, and school leaders, we can create a learning environment that doesn't just avoid conflict, but addresses it in a balanced, respectful way. This approach fosters resilience, respect, and a true love of learning in students. So instead of stepping back, let's step up. Let's aim for a higher standard of education, one that empowers students, respects diversity, and prepares them to thrive. After all, when we raise the bar, we create a future where students aren't just surviving school, they're thriving in life. For families seeking more involvement in their child's education, but not ready to commit fully to homeschooling, hybrid and alternative educational models offer a middle ground. These options provide parents with more influence over curriculum and learning environments while maintaining some of the structure and support of traditional schooling. For families wanting a greater say in their child's education without committing fully to homeschooling, hybrid and alternative models present a balanced solution. These options allow parents to stay involved while maintaining the structure and resources of traditional schooling. In hybrid, learners split their time between classroom learning and home-based education. Imagine the best of both worlds: students attending school for core subjects and social interaction, while having the flexibility to study independently or with parents at home on other days. Hybrid learning isn't just about convenience, it's about creating a personalized learning experience. This model allows parents to be hands-on with specific subjects and values they want to emphasize, while teachers provide foundational support. With hybrid models, education can truly become a collaborative, family-centered experience. This model offers flexibility, letting parents oversee part of the curriculum and cater to their child's individual needs, while still benefiting from the expertise of teachers and access to school resources. For parents seeking a greater role in their child's education without stepping away from public funding, charter schools present a powerful alternative. These schools are publicly funded but operate independently, allowing them to develop specialized programs and teaching approaches that go beyond traditional public school boundaries. From STEM-focused programs to arts integration and project-based learning, charter schools offer a more customized learning experience tailored to meet diverse interests and needs. In these settings, parents often have a stronger voice in shaping their child's education. Whether it's a focus on creative problem-solving, technology, or real-world projects, charter schools provide options that encourage both academic growth and individual expression. Navigating the educational system isn't just about choosing a school. It's also about knowing your rights. From health mandates to curriculum choices, understanding what rights you have and where limitations lie can help you make informed decisions for your family. Finding the right educational path isn't only about choosing a school. It's about understanding and exercising your rights in the educational system. From health mandates to curriculum choices, knowing what's in your hands and what's not helps you make empowered, informed decisions for your family. In most schools, vaccinations are a standard requirement, aimed at protecting public health and preventing outbreaks of contagious diseases. Each state has its own mandates for entry into public and private schools, so it's important to know what's required in your area. Not all families agree with these requirements, and exemptions can be available in some cases. Medical exemptions are widely accepted, while others, like religious or philosophical exemptions, depend on your state's specific laws. Knowing your state's policies ensures you understand your options and the criteria required for an exemption. Beyond health mandates, parents can sometimes opt their children out of specific lessons or topics, particularly in subjects like health, sex education, and other areas of personal or family sensitivity. Opt-out policies are intended to respect diverse family values and beliefs, but not all topics are eligible. Schools and districts set their own guidelines for opt-out, so understanding your district's policies and where your family's values fit can help you advocate effectively for your child's educational experience. From test scores to personal details, the information schools collect can shape a student's entire educational journey. But as parents, you have the right to know how your child's data is collected, stored, and shared, and to question how secure these digital tools really are. With data breaches becoming more common, it's critical for parents to be vigilant. Take the time to understand your school's privacy policies, review terms of service on digital platforms, and ask questions. After all, protecting your child's digital footprint today safeguards their future tomorrow. Under the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, parents have the right to access their child's educational records and request corrections if needed. Additionally, schools are expected to protect students' personal information, though it's essential for parents to stay informed about how data is managed, especially when digital tools are involved. Freedom of speech and expression are fundamental rights, but in schools, these rights have boundaries. Schools aim to create a safe learning environment, which means there are rules about what can and cannot be expressed on school grounds. For example, students generally have the right to wear clothing expressing personal beliefs, as long as it doesn't disrupt learning. Schools can also regulate speech that may be deemed harmful or offensive. Knowing where these boundaries lie helps students and parents navigate self-expression within the school setting. As if lowering academic standards wasn't enough, what about the other side of this story? While we've talked about the decline in critical thinking and life skills, what's happening to the forces driving these changes behind the scenes? In part 2 of this series, we'll expose the hidden agendas shaping America's education system. Who's really pulling the strings and why? We'll peel back the layers to reveal how powerful organizations, billion-dollar foundations, and political influencers are shaping what's taught in classrooms, and why their motives matter more than ever. If you think the battle for our children's future stops at the classroom door, think again. The real story lies behind closed doors, where decisions are made that affect every student, every parent, and every teacher. Don't miss it. Subscribe now and turn on notifications because it's time to uncover the truth behind the headlines. Today, we've explored the challenges shaping our education system, parental rights, curriculum choices, and alternative models. But at the heart of it all, one truth remains. Every family deserves the freedom to choose what's best for their child. For some, that means embracing transparency in public schools. For others, it's exploring homeschooling, co-ops, or hybrid models that align with their values. Whatever path you choose, the choice should be yours. What's your take? Do you believe in greater transparency in schools, or do you think alternative schooling is the way forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's start the conversation. If this video resonated with you and provided value, please consider subscribing and turning on your notifications. We're bringing you fresh content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, uncovering the truth behind the headlines.